This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
All right, Petey Williams, before we get started with the Wrestling Perspective podcast, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, you and I both host this show.
Yes, I know it. You know it. I don't know if the rest of the wrestling community knows it.
Telling by our downloads they don't, but welcome, by the way. First, let's shill some merchandise here. Whatforapparel.com/WPP. Right now, we have 3 shirts up, Pete, and they've been selling like hotcakes. And by hotcakes, I mean 3 of them.
3 every hour, probably.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, we just launched the site, so that joke is a bit skewed, but head over to whatforapparel.com/WPP. We've got 2 NWO style shirts. We have one that says "Get These Mics," kind of a Braun Strowman ripoff, but that's something I've been teasing on Twitter, and I'm trying to figure out a way to work it into the beginning of the podcast, like "Get these mics," and then you'll be like, Petey Williams, how's she going, eh? No?
Yeah, I mean, we should get a voice actor to do some like sound bites for us or something like that.
Oh, yes. What about we could get them to do like celebrity impressions?
You know, I downloaded this app with like where you could talk into your phone and then it's supposed to come out as like Barack Obama or like Donald Trump or like whatever other celebrity. But it is horrible. Like, I mean, it is. I was like, oh, they have Morgan Freeman. I'm like, maybe I could narrate like a video or something. It didn't even sound like Morgan Freeman.
What's
we
the
need
name of this
something
app?
like that. I downloaded it like maybe 6 months ago, and then I used it once. I'm like, this is not that good, and then I deleted it. And I don't even remember the name of it. Well, I really don't.
This makes for a horrible buy my shirt ad. Anyways.
Anyways.
Whatforapparel.com/WPP. Go buy a shirt. Help keep the lights on. And Petey, natural progression from buying a shirt to taking a shirt off. Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question, buddy?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you want to be like Triple H and The Undertaker at Crown Jewel in your bedroom?
Not at Crown Jewel. Maybe like Undertaker Triple H circa 1999, maybe.
Oh, we can't go back in time, Pete. We gotta live in the now.
That's too bad.
But yes,
okay.
But you don't want to be like 2 50-something-year-olds stumbling around your bed, botching moves left and right. And maybe at the end of the night, you leave with another torn pectoral muscle, right? Nobody wants that.
No, you don't want to go down for surgery for that type of thing. No.
You know what you want to be? You want to be like Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho in bed. You're making beautiful music together. Everything syncs perfectly. You're telling an amazing story with your bodies, and the crowd is going crazy. And the red shoe ref counts to 3, and you win. And Dave Meltzer gives you 5 stars for what you do in your bed. You want that, don't you?
I do want that. How do I get that?
You go to BlueChew.com, right?
I knew you were going there with that. I knew it.
BlueChew.com. I have to tell you, I use it. I love it. Look, every night I feel like Kenny Omega in my bed. I feel like the Young Bucks, super kicking my way around that bed. And at the end, I always come out on top. It's a clean finish. When I call the ref in to give me the 1, 2, 3 at the end, which I keep one in my closet, believe it or not. Don't you?
You just have a ref in there that counts 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
All right. I like it. Yeah.
You know what? I think our whole podcast should just be us doing a Blue Chew ad.
It probably should be. I mean, you don't need run-ins in bed, do you? Because I mean, if you can't get the job done yourself and can't go over clean, you don't need any run-ins, right?
That's why you need Blue Chew.
I picture like you have like a hornswoggle in your closet that comes out and counts the 1, 2, 3. That's what I picture.
Ooh, I wish it was. I can't afford hornswoggle.
A hornswoggle, not the hornswoggle. A hornswoggle.
Well, I might be able to. I'll have to go on Craigslist to see if I can rent one.
I'm sure they have an ad. You want a hornswoggle? Well, here's a hornswoggle.
So listen, Blue Chew, you're probably going, what are these guys talking about, right? Blue Chew is the first chewable tablet that's made with the same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. This works out perfect All you do is pop it in, you chew it, you take a shower, you go do whatever you have to do. By the time you're done and ready to, run the ropes with your woman, you're ready to go. You're styling and profiling. You're doing the strut and about to lay it the smackdown on her candy ass. Excuse my language. So I outdo myself every week. I'm so proud of myself.
As if we never, ever, ever swore on this show before. But anyways, yes, I will excuse your language.
Thank you so much.
I mean, there should be a disclaimer, like, on the bottom of Blue Chew. It's like, may cause you to curse as well.
Or it'll cause her to scream for Jesus.
There you go.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Hey, listen, if you're her and you're listening to this and you're like, sometimes my boyfriend needs to make it a triple threat match. So, at the end of the night, everybody leaves happy. None more of that with Blue Chew, okay? Now, it's a clean one-on-one fight. No hardcore rules. No hell in a cell to keep her stuck in there or, keep him in there as long as he needs to go. Look, you can have a television time limit, and he will meet that time limit every time with Blue Chew. It's made in the USA, which makes it cheaper. It's shipped to your house, which means no awkward doctor visits. It's everything you need to make this holiday season perfect. You've got the mistletoe. Now you get the jingle bells. Okay, guys? Ho, ho, ho. Santa Farrell is giving you a gift.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And by the way, or if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I don't need it. Look, it's Christmas and you're about to buy your 18th Bullet Club shirt or your 9th Golden Lover shirt or your 5th, Young Bucks pin. Spend $5 on us, okay? Take it, throw it out, give it to a friend. We don't care.
It makes a great, no pun intended, it makes a great stocking stuffer.
Oh, I'm taking the pun on that one. Oh, Petey getting punny on the show.
Punny.
Okay. Hey, what do you think? Think we should start the show now?
I mean, I guess with that last thing, I mean, there's only one thing left to do.
What's
you got to hit my music, Dennis.
It's this week's Wrestling Perspective podcast. He's Petey Williams. I'm Dennis Farrell. Pete, how's she going?
How's she going, eh?
I stepped on you there.
I thought you gave me the setup. I'm like, is he giving me the setup? And then I'm like, no, he's not. Yes, see it. And then, how's she going, eh?
Someone called Botchamania because we screwed up that intro, and I'm a little too lazy to go back and redo it. So let's just roll with it. Call it in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, we're live right now. Not really, but, live to tape, we'll say.
Next week, I may put it out earlier. This podcast will feel a little weird. It may not be high energy as you guys are used to. I just found out as of this recording the night of, and I want to say a few beautiful words, so I don't want to take this too depressive, but the world's greatest, my first love, my Grandma Joan, and she will always be Grandma Joan to me. She'll turn 85 on Christmas Day, so she's an angel. Yeah, I mean, wow, she lived an amazing life, but the hospice has kind of come in and said she's got about 2 days to live. When I first kind of put this out on Twitter, and by the way, thank you to everybody who reached out to me and just said a few kind words. It does mean a lot to me. We have a lot of great fans. Maddie B, thank you for the kind words that you put out. It was very nice of you. But I just wanted to say thank you. She lived an amazing life. I have a best of show put together. And chances are you and I will probably be able to do next week's show, depending on how the timetable plays out. But we will not miss a show. I do have a plan B, so you guys can be entertained.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be good. And, even if I know this is the time of year where everybody does best of shows and stuff like that, I know we've done a lot of great recordings over the past year that I know, it's unfortunate. I hate talking about death because I
know.
really don't know how to talk about it. I mean, everybody grieves in their own way and stuff. I know when I lose people, I grieve in a certain way. Other people, grieve in a certain way. And just so you know, I mean, I didn't know your grandma Christmas Day. I mean, I've only met 2 other people that have a Christmas birthday, and she's the third. I always think that's like something special, that you're born on Christmas, but it also sucks as well. And I remember talking to people that are their birthdays on Christmas. And I'm like, hey, does it suck that you miss like that 2 times a year where you get gifts like as a kid? Like, I mean, how do you do that as a parent? Like, oh, here you go. Here's your Christmas gifts. And this one right here is for your birthday. Like that sucks, man. But anyways, I digress. Go ahead, Dennis.
I never thought of it like that, but yeah, it's probably got to suck if you're a Christmas Day baby. And tweet us, let us know if you are. Also, I just want to let everybody know I handle these situations with humor. It may not always be funny, but I crack a joke or two, and I may crack the same joke in this podcast a little bit later to soften the blow, but know that I do it as a loving, caring grandson of hers. Her favorite grandson, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I was her favorite.
Well, I mean,
nope.
You were probably the only grandson, but
I wasn't.
No, man, now I'm making bad jokes, but
I was. I mean, you're not making bad jokes. These are the jokes. She had a great sense of humor. At like, I want to say 78. She always walked around with a "Whoop, there it is" sweatshirt on.
Get out of here!
Swear to God.
And was it popular at the time, or was it like already like 10 years old? That saying.
Well, Pete, let's do the math. I said she'll be 85, and then she was like 78.
74, right? 78.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm guessing
Way
it was like
past
20
years.
years.
With it.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But yeah, and blessed the best woman ever. So in my life, I don't want to compare her to anybody else's grandmothers out there, but in my life, she might have been the most influential person on me. And I just want to say that, she lived an amazing life, and she was an amazing person, and I couldn't have asked for a better grandma. So can we talk some wrestling now?
Yeah, I mean, did she have any last did you speak with her or anything like that?
All right, there are 2 ways I could go with this: the humor way and the straight way. So
let's go a little bit of both if you can, and then we'll move on and talk wrestling. Because was she a wrestling fan?
You know what? She watched it with me, and she
Good,
tolerated.
There you go. Yes, I love that. When she, I don't know if she was interested, but she's like, you know what? My grandson loves wrestling. I will watch wrestling with him. I love that when your parents and your elders do that with you. I love that kind of stuff.
I got a lot of those. So why is that guy hitting that guy? Which one's the good guy? Oh, no, he didn't just do,
Love that stuff, man. That's great. I mean, that adds to the drama, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, I was on the phone with her, and her last words were, just make sure your fans buy your shirt. It'll make me happy.
There you go. I mean, we have to respect Grandma's last wishes.
Listen, my grandma was a fan of me making money. And how do we, honor her memory? By going to whatforapparel.com/WPP and buying a shirt. We should get a shirt that says, Grandma would want you to.
Yeah, or you know what? Yeah, we have to kind of brainstorm this. You actually just gave me a great idea.
What is it?
But yeah, grandma would want you to buy my shirt. Yeah. Oh. I have a couple things in my mind, but I want to fine tune it before we actually put something on paper, not on paper, but on the shirt and distribute it. So
I like that.
That's great, Dennis. That's good. That's good. We make a good team, apparently. So people say.
We had by the way, thank you to the Young Bucks for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening and people who covered it.
Oh my God. The Young Bucks, man. I mean,
we didn't have a chance to do a post-mortem. Usually you and I were like, oh my God, that was great. But we didn't have a chance to do that. So can we do that for a second now?
Yeah, because we actually ended the last podcast with the Young Bucks being on, and I mean, those guys. I mean, we kind of chit chatted a little bit about it, just like their personality and stuff. But those guys are like, you can't say like they're down to earth, even though they are down to earth, because I mean they remember where they came from. I mean, when I said, "Hey, man, you guys want to be on the show," I was really expecting them to say, "No, we're super busy," which I totally understand. They're some of the busiest cats right now in the wrestling business. But they said, "Yeah, absolutely." So they remember, and I like when we asked that question about them asking other wrestlers to be on their show, being the Elite, how they felt, and they're like, "Yeah, it's kind of awkward and stuff." So, they remember their roots, they remember where they're from, and they're the same. Like the conversation that we had, you and I, Dennis, with them on our podcast last week. It's the same way that like I used to shoot the breeze with them. They have not changed. So I love that they haven't changed, even though they're super huge stars. I mean, that just I just have more respect for them now because of that.
After talking to them, does that change the way you feel about reaching out to your wrestler buddies about coming on the podcast?
Somewhat, like, because there's still some wrestler buddies that are like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it, right? Mm. But again, I don't know if they're just being nice because they're my buddy, or like being nice because they're my buddy, but they're like, I don't really want to do this, but I got to do it for Petey. Or if they're like, yeah, I want to talk about myself and it's just super cool and I have stuff to promote, right? But then there's other wrestler buddies that are like, they just blow me off. They're like, not like a Tommy Dreamer. Let's just bring up Tommy Dreamer. Like, yeah, I'll do it, but then doesn't follow through kind of deal. And I'm like, okay, the writing's on the wall. I'm like, I get it. I mean, does it change it? With the Young Bucks, I mean, we should have them on. You know what? Let's wait to see what their next move is, because they gave us a lot of information,
which we're shocked about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm truly shocked. But even though they didn't say much, they still, kind of let us know where they stand and everything. They said they have a lot of offers on the table.
Offers
pretty much from
every contract,
like every
company.
And let's wait to see when they make their move, and then maybe I got to have them back on the show, and I know they'll do it. So, and just a little insight, I know they were driving to, and we got them at the perfect time, Dennis. They were driving to the Japanese consulate, to renew their visa. So they had quite a drive with them. So that's how we were able to get them both in the same car at the same time, because they had nothing else to do except for like, hey, we could either listen to music. They're brothers. And I don't know if you have a brother, Dennis, but I do. But if I sit in the car with my brother that I've known for, 30-something years, I'm not just going to sit there and shoot the breeze with him. I'm like, I'm going to listen to music or, the weather's nice. You don't really have much to say. So it's great that, we could conduct an interview with them at that time. So we're definitely going to have to get them back on.
I think we just have to wait till they get their visas to the next country.
No, they're Japanese.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like you said, they didn't have to open up as much as they did. I think the most telling thing, and a lot of news outlets picked up our interview, which was great. But the one thing that didn't get picked up a lot that I thought was more telling than anything else, if you learn to read between the lines, was the way they talked. And when I asked them about, their fans and would they revolt if they went to the WWE and how they felt about that and how open.
Oh, actually. Yeah, a news source, I did read it the other day, or it might have been earlier today. One of the, I can't remember what maybe it was Wrestling Inc. That we used to be affiliated with. They broke a story with that, strictly based on what you were just speaking about right there, like if they went to WWE and all that kind of stuff. So somebody did cover that just recently.
I think that was super telling of what their moves are or ever intended to be with the WWE when they were like, no, we don't want to lose one single fan to one move we make. And I think go back and listen to it. Anyways, let's start with some news and notes I have. On Reddit the other day, I saw someone ask a question, and it reminded me about when I first came back to being a wrestling fan. As we all know, during the Attitude Era, wrestling was the most accepted I think it might have ever been in its history. Outside of like the 40s and the 50s when it was part of the culture. In modern day wrestling. Sure, the golden age, you could probably say the 80s and 90s at some point was, but I think it was so cartoonish when you hit a certain age, you naturally grew out of it. But the Attitude Era was kind of for everybody, even though you were probably a bad parent if you let your kids watch it at a certain point. Then Attitude Era dies out, and it's back to having to hide in the shadows of being a wrestling fan. Now, I've been teased and bullied, not bullied, but teased for being a wrestling fan. I still get teased now. I get teased for doing a wrestling podcast, but I never knew this answer, but I want to ask you, have you ever been teased in mainstream society for being a wrestler?
For being a wrestler?
Yeah. I mean, wrestling fans get teased for liking it. Do wrestlers get teased for doing it?
I don't think so. Because I had a pretty quick turnaround. Like I started in wrestling in like 2000, and I made it on TV in 2004. So, I was teased, yeah, definitely, when I started training to be a wrestler and said I was a wrestler that, I haven't made it anywhere yet. And even my parents were like, you get a real job, you're not going to make it in wrestling, all that kind of stuff. Not so much my dad, like more my mom, my stepdad and stuff. My dad was like, do whatever you want if it makes you happy. Because my dad was also a wrestling fan. So, teased in that way. And yeah, friends as well. Like in high school, college, they were like, what? You're doing what? Like, that's ridiculous. But at that point, we were still kind of in the Attitude Era, coming out of the Attitude Era. So it was like Stone Cold was still on. The Rock was still on. It was still very, very popular. There was still like, the Monday Night Wars. And then that stopped. And then what was weird was that in the 2004, when I made it on and you made a name for myself, that's when, MySpace was popular. Facebook's popular now, all that kind of stuff. Old friends from high school, I shouldn't call them friends, just classmates, I should say, would reach out to me and be like, hey man, how's it going? Like, I knew you could make it and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, you didn't, because you told me I would fail like everybody else did because I was so small and all that kind of stuff. But like currently being made fun of for
I mean like
being a wrestler.
Yeah, but
no.
like
I mean
friends of your wife or ex-wife or co-workers you might have had in your retirement. Like, oh yeah, what did you do? Or oh hey, this is my husband Petey. Petey is a professional wrestler, and they go, oh, the real one or the fake one? That stuff never.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Like, so I would say 90% of the people are like, infatuated. It's not the word. Enthralled. I don't know. Like, whatever the word is. Like, intrigued. That's the word I'm looking for. So 90% of the people are intrigued and want to know more information. 10% are like, oh, that's still around. like as if like it happened once during the Hulk Hogan era when everybody watched it, and then it happened again Attitude Era when everybody watched it, and now it's like it just died out or something, and nobody watched it anymore. But that's what I'll usually get. Like with my wife, we already know, we've had her on the show. She is not a wrestling fan. We ask her wrestling questions, she cannot answer them. She doesn't know any wrestlers or anything like that, which that's part of the reason why I love her. But the people that she works with, she brings up like they'll ask, like when we were first dating, like, oh, who is this guy that you're dating? And then she would explain, yeah, he's this guy. I guess he's, I don't know what he calls himself, some sort of Canadian destroyer or something. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could look him up. And then people would, and she's never looked me up, like when we first started dating, and then people that she worked with would look her up and be like, hey, do you know who you're dating? She was like, yeah, he said he was a wrestler, like big deal. And then they would show her the videos of whatever Google has available. And she was like, oh, interesting. I had no idea, but it didn't change her perception of me because she liked me as a person, not as like the wrestler. That's not the person she fell in love with, right? So, I mean, I didn't really get made fun of, because usually society is really weird, because if you've been on TV, people think you're cooler than the person next to you, which isn't always the truth at all.
Oh, I know.
But they always think like, oh man, you're so cool because you've been on TV or whatever the case may be. So a lot of people will be like, they're just like, they feel like you're the coolest person in the room, but I feel like I am the lamest person in the room, that the other people that I'm hanging out with are cool because, you know, they just have cool personalities or whatever. So recently, after making it on television and stuff, people don't like really make fun of me. Like they do say, oh, that fake stuff. And I'm like, and my response always like, yeah, that fake stuff. I'm like, oh, look at this real scar though I have right here and right here and right here. I'm like, yeah, but it's super fake, you know.
How many times has someone ever said, oh, do you know The Rock? Or, oh, have you ever wrestled The Rock?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that at like customs a lot. When I travel across the border, they're like, oh, you know, because usually when I travel, it's, you know, to wrestle, and people will be like, where are you going? And you've been with me, Dennis.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going? Oh, we're going to this wrestling show here and there. Oh, okay. Oh, you know The Rock? You know Hulk Hogan? And what's cool is I could say, yeah, Hulk Hogan used to be my boss. Because at one point he did. I think he was like some sort of head of creative at Impact Wrestling in 2000, whatever, 13, 14. So I could say Hulk Hogan was my boss. And then their eyes just like, oh, that's so cool. I used to watch Hulk Hogan or whatever. But even though he wasn't technically my boss, I throw that out there, put the ball back in their court just to see how they respond.
Let's move on for a second. I tagged you in the tweet. I don't watch the Edge and Christian show on the WWE Network. It's something I
did see that clip though. Okay, go ahead.
It's something after I saw this clip I may have to start doing. And there was a clip of, it was Edge, Christian, and Tommy Dreamer, who's actually a writer on the show, I just found out, walking through a cave. Tommy Dreamer's dressed up as an explorer, something crazy like that.
I think they were, weren't they spoofing, oh my God, what's that? The Goonies. Weren't they spoofing the Goonies?
Maybe they were. Okay.
I think they were.
And, one of them says, oh, wow, it's dark in here. Christian says, oh, like Impact Wrestling, or it's dark and cavernous in here. You know, so I'm trying to put it all together. And Christian's like, oh, like Impact Wrestling. And then Tommy Dreamer goes, stop it, guys. I kind of work there still.
I didn't see that part, because I saw, before you tagged me in it, I saw like this 2-minute clip that somebody else posted. But that's great. I love Impact jokes. I mean, we can go back to when Kurt Angle said it on the day after WrestleMania, when I think he said, like, I think TNA is looking to hire people or something like that. People know we're around, and I mean it's great, and I love it. And the best form. You work for a company, you just kind of have to laugh at yourself. You can't take stuff seriously like that. And I'm glad Tommy did it that way, because Tommy kind of does work for Impact. I think did he main event last week's show?
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe this upcoming was last week. No, it wasn't Thanksgiving. But yeah, I mean, I think he wrestled. Oh, man, okay, hold on. I don't want to give any spoiler alerts. I'm getting my weeks mixed up because we already filmed everything. But I want to say he was on just last week. So, and Tommy, a lot of people don't know, he agents for the show as well. And Tommy's great. I mean, I love it. So, it's good that he actually brought up Impact Wrestling. I bet you, I guarantee you he wrote that in there. I guarantee you. He's like, hey, why don't you say this? Just to get an Impact plug in there.
It worked. It was great. And to see it, once again, we're living in an age where WWE is at least acknowledging Impact Wrestling, maybe not everywhere else.
Yeah, I think they do acknowledge, and so I don't think Vince McMahon acknowledges anything else exists. I really don't. But the people that he has working for him, they know that there's an Impact Wrestling. They know there's a Ring of Honor. They know there's a New Japan. Obviously, they know there's an MLW. Like all these kind of things. They know. And whether, and I think that's how it's filtered up through Vince. Like, hey, this is the biggest star in Ring of Honor right now. Do we want to sign him? This is the biggest star in Impact. Do we want to go after him? All that kind of stuff. So they definitely acknowledge it, and because I know Vince is smart. He's not going to be a guy that's like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on outside of WWE. I really don't. You guys figure that out, and then let me know what's going on out there.
Okay. Let's move on. I'm watching Raw last night, who had probably the second worst week in a row. And that stuff doesn't bother me when a company has a couple good shows or a couple bad shows. It's, as you say before, ebbs and flows. Depending on the time of year, injuries, you know what? You're going to have bad shows as an organization. I mean, hell, Impact had, a bad 10 years, it seems like, at one point?
We just came out of that bad 10 years. It does have its ups and downs. I would say, we talked about this before. Slammiversary in June, like a little bit prior to that. I don't know how long it goes back, but it kind of had its downtime, and I think we're on the upswing now. But yeah, I mean, all shows has bad weeks, plural. The one thing, and I didn't know if you were going to bring it up, but it seems like this is the one thing that's been hitting Twitter a lot, is the Dean Ambrose dressed up kind of like Bane. Were you going to touch on that?
I was, and I didn't know how much you were in on it, so I was going to skirt around it, but you bring it up. Let's talk about it. Now, initially, between you and I, and we're the only two people listening, at first, I hated it. I hated where this direction of this character was going, right? Then I'm deep diving, and I'm really watching and listening, and you know what? This is kind of genius, and hear me out whether you agree or disagree. His main selling points, because if you just scratch the surface and you look, you think, oh, when did he become a hypochondriac, or when did he just start not wanting to be around dirty people? But if you listen to the words, he's talking about repenting, paying for the sins of the Shield. He's talking about karma coming back on him and Seth Rollins, and I really am, after listening to the words and watching, and him coming out kind of dressed like Bane with the gas mask on, I'm more intrigued about where this character is going than I was when I just watched. There's a difference between watching wrestling and going, oh, look, he's got a Bane jacket, and not really listening to the words. And then you sit there and listen, you go, okay, now it's kind of coming together where, they're showing you the ace hand right here, but if you listen, he's got a royal flush over here, and it totally means something different now than what you see on the outside.
Yeah, so, I mean, what I like about Dean Ambrose is he is great. Like as a character, he is great. And what I don't like is pretty much from the Shield as a group turned babyface together. Back when they were heels and they started out, they turned babyface together. And then when they when Seth turned on them, what happened? Seth was the heel, and Dean and Roman were the babyfaces. And then Dean's been a babyface ever since, where I think they have like some money. Like, this is Dean Ambrose's money as a heel. I think his character, they need a very strong heel right now on their program, and he could carry it with the mic and do characters. I don't think.
Wait, whoa, hey, we just had a phone call. Should we call him back?
That's risky, but.
Listen, we have a 24-hour call, hotline, right?
Yeah, why don't you call him back and I'll finish my thought. And it was like 3 seconds longer.
Finish your thought. Let's see if this guy calls back. If he let's finish your thought and then we'll call him back.
It's not like we're on like 93.1 or something like that. Hey, call back, caller, call back, and we'll get you on. Sorry, we missed your call. Yeah, but I really think they have money with Dean Ambrose right now as a heel. I think they missed the boat for probably I don't know, 2 years, making him a babyface. Like, he was great as a babyface, and if you could shine as a babyface, I mean, you could definitely shine as a heel. So I think they have some money in there with him, and I think he's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I think the Bane thing, I don't know if it's going to be long term or if they were just kind of, spoofing it and making a point with that. And maybe it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week. I didn't watch Raw, but I watched just the clip and kind of like one little clip of like what he was saying and stuff. And he was like cutting a promo with the mask on, kind of like how Bane would. And he had the Bane jacket. So I like that stuff. I'm a huge mark for Bane in that Batman that Bane was in. Like, I was like obsessed with that. They even did like a South Park episode where they spoofed Bane. I'm a huge mark for that.
All right, so I made a decision. If he calls back, we'll answer. If not, we'll keep going. But yeah, look, he feels moral guilt over the Shield's actions. Oh, here it is. Are you ready? You're on with Dennis and PD. What's going on? What's your name?
Michael Spice. Yeah. Can I ask my question?
Sure, please. We we
ahead.
would love it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I was wondering, do y'all ever consider like getting a talent like TV roles, movie roles, commercials, like talk show appearances, things like that? Maybe try to go live eventually on like live televised, like live show Impact Wrestling, and then have Explosion come on and on TV during the week too, like 2 hours, and maybe try to do Impact Wrestling like 3 hours. Have y'all ever considered doing stuff like that? Try to get the viewership better.
Like, are you talking about a live show?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is okay. So with a live show, just so you know, is like so expensive, more so than a tape show, because live satellite feed is ridiculously expensive. So, but yes, I agree with you. It would be like a live show, like people don't know what's going on. There's no spoilers or anything like that. But we used to do live shows probably back like maybe 4 years ago. And we actually, one time for a few weeks, we went head-to-head with Monday Night or Monday Night Raw. And
talk about when y'all went 3 hours, when y'all had started to go 3 hours at a time.
No, we only did 2 hours, but we went head to head with Monday Night Raw, and ratings went up. But then that was the Hulk Hogan era, and then the next week the ratings didn't show, so I think they went back to Thursday nights. So it just so you know, it does cost like a fortune to try to do the live shows.
You have to rent a different
but I agree,
truck
they
too,
are
right?
better.
Oh, okay. Y'all ever thought about getting like movie roles or like talk show appearances or commercials like for talent?
Yeah, no, we do that. So I know one guy, his name's KM on our show, Kevin Matthews. He he does commercials and stuff. A lot of our talent get involved in commercials. And our public relations guy, Ross Foreman, he sets up appearances and all that kind of stuff. Right now we're really focusing on Impact of like just building our brand back up again. That way it means like it has value to it again, where people are like, so when we approach them and say, hey, we'd like to have an appearance on this talk show or whatever, that way people are like, oh yeah, we've heard of Impact Wrestling. Okay, yeah, we know you, like Eli Drake or whatever. Yeah, come on our show, and then you guys can promote your show and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're very well aware of that, and that's what we're working towards.
Okay. What about Moose? Will he be world champion in 2019? I kind of want to see that.
Dude, I want to see that, man. You kidding me? I'm looking at his outfits that he shows up to, at the tapings every single day.
Oh, yeah, with the sunglasses on. I like his bad guy robe, man. I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, but I look at Moose and he has his outfits, those sunglasses that you're talking about, and I'm like, you just became cool again. I'm like, you almost have to be a good guy again. So, like, that's what it seems like to me. And so if he's going to be world champion, I want to see him as world champion. Is it going to happen? I'm not sure, man. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I seen on. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Have another question?
Oh, yeah. I seen that on the LAX thing, man, about them going to NXT. Tell me that ain't true.
Oh, I don't know where you read that, but
No,
I
I
didn't hear
saw
that.
I saw it on the website. Something like LAX. I think they was I think they was trying to recruit them something.
Well, here's the story before it all gets jungled up here. So
Okay.
LAX was supposed to be on a show at Evolve facing I guess a NXT tag team that's under contract with them. Impact pulls LAX from the show because I guess they were slated to either lose or they were not going to win the match. The NXT tag team was going to win, and there might have been a third party involved. But Impact altogether pulls the talent out of the match and says, you're not going to do it. Evolve gets up all in a hissy fit. I think that's what he's talking about.
So yeah, so the way the contracts work. So LAX right now is under contract with Impact. If NXT, which is WWE, if they try to approach them, that's like they're not allowed to do that. That's like a breach of contract. They can't do that. There could be like legal ramifications like that. So as far as I know, LAX is staying in Impact as it stands right now. They're not going to NXT as it stands right now.
Oh, I got you. Oh yeah. I've been well. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you tell me. Is this Petey Williams?
Yeah.
This is Petey Williams. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Canadian Street. Okay, yeah, I like the Knockouts division, but like I ain't gonna. I miss Hanaya, the Hunters, and all that. I feel like the one y'all had, the chick from the garage, the real skinny lady. I figured y'all could have probably built her up. Cause y'all, when she was on the show, like I always saw her lose. I believe y'all could have built her up, her, and then the one with the green hair, Shotzi, and her Naya. I felt y'all could have built them up, like had them compete against each other, build them up to take on like Kaya, Valkyrie, you know what I'm saying? And all the bigger name lady, I figured y'all could have like at least had them go get wins against each other like that, and then like maybe future champs. I wish I could have did something like that with her, man. Cause I feel like she really didn't get to show her talent. I kept seeing her lose. Oh man, I just hope she win at least one match.
I don't I don't know who.
You remember? Shoot, the real skinny lady. The one.
Katarina.
The one from the chick from the garage. I forgot her name. Amber.
Okay.
The real skinny one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Amber,
Alicia? I think he's talking about Eddie Edwards' wife.
No. That's Alicia.
We're just going to name all the women.
You remember, this is when y'all had her Naya the Huntress, though. You remember, y'all put in a match with that Amber, I think, when she not where she from, the chick from the garage, you know what I'm saying? The real skinny one. I feel like y'all could have built her up, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Okay. I know exactly what you mean. What's your name, by the way?
Michael Spice.
Mike, thanks so much for calling in and being a listener, man.
Right. Okay.
Cool, man.
All right, yeah,
we'll
thanks,
talk.
Mike.
Talk to you later. There we go, Pete. That's a live call. Normally we send people to voicemail, but hey, we tried it once.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Right.
And it was good, and there was a good conversation, and it just goes to show he has a lot of questions about what's going on in Impact and stuff, and I'm glad that I can answer them, I guess, or answer them to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, listen, we were going to talk about the Evolve thing anyway, so I just want to go back for a second. That was a hot topic. Do you agree or I'm not asking you to second guess, but as an Impact guy, when you see a move like that, and then you see Evolve mad, and they talk about how they're not going to use Impact talent anymore, is this a sign of Impact growing up, or same old Impact? Or because to me it doesn't feel like a same old Impact like the last regime who did things like this just to do them. Look, you're rebuilding your brand, and you can't have your champions, even if they don't get pinned, lose to an NXT contracted tag team who's not even, as far as I understand, in NXT at that point.
So, I don't really know anything about the situation, why they got pulled or anything. I'm just speculating. So, I don't know if they were slated to lose. I'm assuming the way WWE is if you're going to use their NXT guys, they probably have to win. They're under WWE contracts. They're in NXT. They're going to beat any Evolve guys. or any other guys. So I don't know if they were slated to lose. And they are our world champions. And I don't know if it came down to that, but I mean, for all we know, Santana or Ortiz, one of them could have been like slightly hurt. It was like, oh yeah, you know, those guys, let me tell you, LAX guys, they are tough. If they're hurt, they'll admit it, but they'll push through it and they'll fight, or I shouldn't say fight, like they'll wrestle hurt. That's the way those guys are. And, you know, they might have been hurt and been, you know, management could have been like, you know what, we're not going to risk further injury for a show that is not ours. I want you guys to rest up. We're going to pull you from the show, and because we need you for these upcoming tapings, we want you to be healthy for that. And that's just like, you know, controlling your investment, making sure that, you know, what's done needs, like what needs to be done is done pretty much. It could have been that as well. So I don't know the whole circumstance. I don't know if it was because they, you know, they need to lose or they were slated to lose or whatever. Do I agree with it? I mean, here's the thing. And I've been under contract with Impact before, and if they say, hey, we don't want you working this show, well, guess what? You're under contract with them. You're not working that show for whatever reason. Maybe they're not paying you enough or who knows? But they can say yes or no because you're under contract with them. They give you a weekly paycheck to work for them. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
All right. I just thought I'd get your thoughts on that. And as we wrap this up, there is one more topic I want to bring up before you and I go home for the week or two. And I was on this guy's podcast, and he asked me a question that had nothing to do with wrestling, and it threw me off, right? And it was somewhere along the lines of, hey, aren't you tired of this Me Too movement too? And I'm just like, wow, okay. And I go into a whole different answer, and I kind of shut it down, like, no. But it got me thinking about the Me Too movement in wrestling. We're in an age now where maybe on some indies, but you know, you're not going to see it on WWE. I don't know if you'll see it in Impact or at least television, but you don't see male and female wrestlers doing intergender matches on television. I think for whatever reason, that's over with. Is that doing women's wrestling a disservice where you might be able to book them in positions to beat some of the men, whether they have help or not? Or is it natural progress? I'm trying to figure this out myself when it comes to the Me Too movement in women's wrestling, the evolution. Are we doing women's wrestling a disservice by not letting them mix it up with the men?
No. Okay, so to that last question you just asked, I will strongly say no. Just because, okay, so yeah, on TV you're not going to see men and women wrestle each other. I mean, since we're in a very PC type society, I guess you could say now, where like even if you make a joke, and as a joke, like people are gonna misconstrue it or whatever the case may be. We're just in a very PC environment right now. Are we gonna look back on this in 20 years and be like, man, I can't believe we were so PC or whatever? Who knows, right? But you know, we can't have any man on woman violence, even though it's fake. It's fake, okay? I mean, it's almost like, I mean, I can't stress this enough. Like, it's, I don't like to use the word fake, but, you know, if you watch two ballerinas or like a male and woman ballerina or in a ballet or a dance competition or whatever, and they're dancing together, I mean, they're performing entertainment. They're performing an act, and it's the same thing in wrestling, even though, like, you know, there is hard hitting, but we're still trying to pass it as real violence. Like, that's just what we do in wrestling. But it's not. But you'll never see it because on television, people still think it's, oh, you know, he just punched her in the face. If that happened in real life, she wouldn't be standing probably. But I mean, obviously it's fake. And you see a lot of it on the indies, especially in like Joey Ryan's promotion, where he does wrestle a lot of females in that. And it's very entertaining. But we'll never see it on TV, unfortunately. Well, in this day and age right now. The reason why I said no, or did I say no or yes, like doing a disservice, a lot of the times men are a phenomenal basis for women, because, men are typically bigger than women. And it makes the women look like like supermen or a superwoman, like a superwoman or something like that. So we don't want to portray like, hey, she's so awesome when she wrestles other men, and then maybe she drops the ball when she wrestles other women, because maybe that woman isn't as good of a base as like I don't know who's a good base, like a Brian Cage who's like 250 pounds all jacked up, right? So the woman wrestler has to be able to mix it with her own gender and be able to pull her own pretty much. That's why I don't think they're doing him a service or a disservice.
So here's where I disagree, and this isn't well thought out. I'll be honest with you, because I'm still trying to put together my thoughts, and maybe we can revisit this in a couple months where I can really sit down and articulate this a little bit better. We're in a movement now where we're trying to show women wrestlers as equals. But yet and look, male wrestlers still come out in the Speedos. I get it. But a lot of women wrestlers, whether it's their choice or the promotion's choice, still come out scantily clad trying to look sexy, whether it's the booking or not. Bookers can put a woman over. Agents can help a woman look good in a match. I'm not saying every woman wrestler, but I think there are a select few women wrestlers that you can put the ball in their court for gender equalization, where you can put them in a ring with a man and have them go over. Now, I don't know if it's career suicide for a man to lose to a woman. You hear a lot in the 90s and the Attitude Era about guys not wanting to lose to China, and Mark Marrow getting beat up by a woman, and everybody teased him so bad, and he's out of the company in like X amount of months. I don't know if it's still like that in wrestling. I don't. But I think if you put the right few women in the ring with a man, you could help the women's evolution move faster, especially on TV.
No, I agree with that, Dennis. And like I said before, let's say you put a Tessa in with a Brian Cage. They will have a hell of a match, let me tell you, okay? Because I'll tell you, Brian Cage, like, you're not going to see women built like Brian Cage. You won't.
No.
I mean, naturally, you will not. Naturally, it does not happen in life.
Maybe Nicole Bass.
And that wasn't natural. It wasn't. I mean, she had to have been on some sort of steroids or testosterone, something, because women don't produce the testosterone like that to be built like that. They do not, naturally. So you have Tessa and a Brian Cage in there. Brian Cage is going to be able to base her, and by what I mean by a base, like I look at like a tornado DDT, wrestling maneuvers where like he can throw her around kind of and make her look good kind of deal. But look, Tessa's a bad example, because Tessa she's awesome in the ring, and she can have a great match with anybody pretty much. But so now you have Brian versus Tessa. And it's going to be phenomenal. Now you remove Brian from the equation. Is Tessa going to be able to do those throw up spinny in the air DDTs to somebody that's half of Brian's weight and size? No.
Yeah, but
absolutely not.
But you keep talking about...
they're going to have an awesome match, And for me, I'll tell you what right now, like if I wrestled like a Tessa, I would have no problem losing to her. I'd want to go out there and have a great match with her, that kind of thing. I don't think it's career suicide. To answer your question on that, in this day and age, absolutely not. Maybe in that like Mark Marrow versus Sable day, it was career suicide because people didn't. Back then in the Attitude Era, women were portrayed as eye candy. Let's just say it. Now they're legit athletes, so I think we're almost there. I mean, I don't know when. Cable providers or networks are going to be like, yeah, it's okay for men and women to have a wrestling match against each other. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I think we're closer than we've ever been.
you keep throwing in a Brian Cage, but let's even say you know, if Tessa beats you and then goes back, and I'm not saying that, you know, you're not portrayed strong enough or cool enough, but I could see Tessa beating you and then going back and losing to a woman, and it's not a slap in anybody's face, or it's not, well, she can't handle, you know, her own gender. But maybe the Brian Cage thing's a bit, you know, apples to oranges. But if she wrestled, you know, maybe somebody like you or a Rich Swann, maybe a smaller type male wrestler, and beat them, I think it still helps the women's revolution move forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dennis. Tessa, I mean, I think I'm only maybe an inch or two taller than her. Like, I mean, and maybe only.
Stop bragging.
No, I mean, I'm not that much bigger than her.
You're not.
I'm not. And I mean, and she is awesome in the ring. You know, but she's an exception to the rule. Like, she's a very, very good female wrestler. Like, I look at her and I'm like, okay, all women wrestling should be kind of strive to be like her, because all of her stuff looks great in the ring. She's very aggressive. All the things you're looking for, and I'm not even saying a female wrestler, in a wrestler general, she has. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem losing to her at all. What? I mean, I think we'd have a great match, because I think she's a very good professional wrestler, regardless of gender.
What happens? What's the conversation like? You wake up tomorrow morning and go, you know what? That might be interesting. You call Scott D'Amore and you go, Scott, what? It's
not going to happen. It won't. Like,
what? But what would Scott's? And I guess I'm asking you put words in his mouth, but you know Scott D'Amore maybe enough to tell me what his defense would be, or his reason not to put that on TV.
I'll tell you right now, we can't have men and women violence. We can't have men and women wrestle each other on our television show, on network television. It's not accepted. And that's why they don't have it in WWE. Like, you watch those mixed tag matches, those tournaments they have, you never see a man and woman wrestle each other at all. It's in our society right now. If this was the Attitude Era, we can definitely do it. If this was 15 to 18 years ago, we could definitely do it. Right now, with everything that's going on in the world, we cannot do it. And that's unfortunate. I mean, it really is, because I think it would add to the product. I really do. I'm a fan of the intergender wrestling. I know some people aren't, but I like it. I mean, I think it's interesting, and it adds a new dynamic that we don't see enough on national television.
And
keep in mind, professional wrestling is predetermined. I mean, I'm not actually punching a female in the face. It's just coming across like that, because that's what we do in professional wrestling. We pretend it's real.
All right. And finally, Rhino retires, friend of yours. You've wrestled.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because the closest I came to meeting Rhino, you actually talked me out of it. It was the first show me and Adam went to watch you. I believe it might have been an XICW show many, 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 many years back. I don't even know if you remember the show Adam and I went to.
I don't.
But
I do not.
I believe you were a heel, and Adam and I were.
Oh, no, this is a Clash show.
Clash show, okay.
Yep.
So we come out, and Rhino's there, and I'm like, hey. And I didn't know you at that point. So I might have been that a-hole friend that overstepped. I'm like, hey, will you introduce me to Rhino? And you're like, yeah, you don't want to meet him. And I think you were just doing that to blow me off, like, who's this guy asking me to meet another guy? So that might have been the closest I came to meeting him. I've talked to him a few times. I actually reached out to try to get him on the show tonight, but he was a little bit busy, and he said he'll take a rain check, and he would love to come on, in a future date to talk about his retirement. So what are some of your memories about Rhino in the ring?
I mean, I've wrestled him before. He's great. I mean, I remember back when he was with WWE. I haven't even started with Impact yet, I don't believe. But I was like one of the head trainers at Scott D'Amore's wrestling school. So it was Rhino's like first neck injury where he had to take time off. This is when he was worked for WWE. And he had to take time off wrestling. And then he was kind of like, kind of cleared to roll around in the ring. But, you could tell his neck was kind of like still, stiff from the surgery and all that kind of stuff. And then D'Amore was like, yeah, because Rhino obviously trained at our school. Like, D'Amore helped train Rhino. And Rhino stops by and Scott's like, yeah, roll around with Petey. He'll be safe and stuff like that. And then I'm just following Rhino's lead in the ring. What was it? He goes, we lock up or whatever, and we're just, doing some arm ringers or whatever. And then he gives me a headlock takeover. And I'm just listening to him. Like, he's like, take my arm, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, all right, I'm going to be a headlock takeover. I'm like, all right. I go with it. And then he goes, all right, give me a head scissors, right? I'm like, okay, which is normal, whatever. So I push him back, give him a head scissors. And he's like, all right, hold on. And then he comes up selling his neck, right? And Scott's watching this whole thing. He goes, oh, man, my neck. Scott almost, like, I could see the redness in his face. He was, like, MFing me, like, Petey, like, did you hurt him again? Like, what's going on? And then, like, I was like a deer in headlights. I'm like, I didn't know how to, like, articulate. Like, Scott, he told me to put him in the head scissors. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And then before, like, Scott really blew a gasket, Rhino was like, I'm just messing around. I'm not hurt. And then he was like, oh, my God. Scott was like, oh, my God, I was going to kill you, Petey. But, like, that's Rhino's personality. Like, he always likes to pull ribs on other people and, like, joke with other people. I remember even, like, talking on my phone to my wife when we're doing road trips and stuff. And he's like, hold on, let me talk to her. And he would talk and, like, try to make friends with my wife just to be like, yeah, your husband right now is with a really cool guy. You don't have to have anything to worry about. Like, we're boys. I'm taking care of all that kind of stuff. But Rhino, yeah, I mean, I've done many, many road trips with him. Some good, some bad, but for the most part, good. And he's always tried to steer me in the right direction and guide me, in the proper path.
There it is. Rhino's career in a nutshell. I don't know.
No, not really.
That's all I could really come up with.
Just what from I know. I mean, I could ramble on for another hour of all these stories and stuff like that, but I'm not going to. But I remember he reached out to me last year. Last year he started this charity show. I wish I could remember the charity, but if Rhino, knowing Rhino, he's like, hey, I have this charity show for whatever charity it was. And I said, absolutely. Before he even asked the question, like, hey, can you come wrestle for me? And this is right when I was coming back to wrestling after I retired. I said, absolutely. I said, Rhino, I'll do it for you. No problem. I'm like, I don't even care who I'm wrestling or anything. I said, I'll be there on that day. And, it just, I mean, he's a very giving guy. And, he's really helped me along in my career. So, yeah, thank you, Rhino.
There it is. Not that he'll ever listen to this, but thank you, Rhino.
No. He listens every week. No, not really.
Really? But, I did not know that. So he's the download we get.
Yeah, he's the one download we get. Rhino, I know you're the only one that listens, so thank you very much.
I got to touch on, one of our fans is drawing us a comic book cover. I sent it to you. I thought it looked great. I cannot.
What was my response? I was joking, obviously, but let's not even talk about it.
I think it was a weight joke on my part. You're like, oh, he's being very kind to your belly, isn't he?
I didn't mean it like that, but no, it was really good drawing actually. It was so good that I was like, wow, I didn't even know how to, like fake joke around and make fun of this. But yeah, no, go on, Dennis. It was a very good drawing.
Yeah, I was. Look, I'm pretty excited. So, anyways, thank you guys for listening and everything you do. And Pete, let's go home.
I am home, but let's wrap it up. Go home, as they would say in the wrestling business. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have anything to promote, do you?
Just you and my co-host, the Wrestling Perspective podcast, Dennis Farrell.
Yeah, that's really crappiest promotion I've ever heard. You did.
Hey, I'm back on Instagram. I think I posted like maybe 2 or 3 pictures. Maybe I'll try to post another one this week. But I'm back on Instagram.
Fine. Okay, there you go. On my part, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. You can go there, listen to the show straight from the site, or there's links where you can get the show everywhere. Also, links to PD and myself social media. PD Williams on Twitter. Dennis77Farrell, Farrell, is my Twitter handle. WP_pod is the show's Twitter handle. WrestlingPerspective.podbean.com. You can also go there. Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get podcasts, that's where we are. The best thing you can do to help the show grow is subscribe. Then, with my grandma's last dying wishes, you can go buy a shirt. Because that's, look, Pete, I mean, I'm going to even have to go buy a shirt. I may go buy a shirt and wear that shirt to the funeral in her, because that's what she would want.
Yeah, I'm going to have to buy a shirt for all of my kids, my wife, my whole family. Just because, I mean, that's what she wanted, man.
That's what Grandma Joan.
You gotta, yeah.
God bless you, Grandma Joan, and the only thing you want is for me to have money in my pocket.
Man, I hate when grandmas do that, but I mean, we gotta respect that, right?
We gotta respect it. So, but listen, whatforapparel.com/WPP. We got 3 shirts up now. Look for some variation of my dying grandma's last wishes on a shirt. I'm sure that'll show up soon. And could you imagine if that's the highest selling shirt, and then we start seeing people with like, all my grandma wanted me to do was wear this shirt or buy this shirt.
Yeah, like, and there's a hashtag in front of it. Yeah, no, that's probably going to be a thing now. If we don't make it a thing, somebody else is going to make it a thing.
Hashtag Grandma Jones says buy this shirt.
Yeah.
And where's the beef?
All right. I don't even want to go. All right.
Thanks. BlueChew.com. WPP is a promo code. Use it. Let us know you use it so we can get a shout out. Pete, I'm going home. You're going home. Good night. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Pete, say good night.
No. All right. Good night.